Here are the most dangerous computer viruses ever created. Some of them did not just crash systems, they changed the world forever. Back in the early days of computing, long before laptops sat comfortably on desks and smartphones ruled our pockets, machines filled entire rooms and hummed like industrial engines. In 1971, something unusual appeared on one of those massive systems. A message popped up that seemed playful at first, almost like a joke between engineers. It introduced itself as Creeper and challenged anyone watching to catch it. That moment might sound harmless, even funny, but it quietly marked the beginning of something far bigger than anyone in that room could have imagined. The Creeper program did not destroy files or steal money. It simply moved from one computer to another, displaying its cheeky message along the way. But what made it revolutionary was the idea behind it. For the first time, software was no longer just a tool. It became something that could spread on its own. That single concept opened a door that could never truly be closed again. Once people realized that programs could replicate and travel, it was only a matter of time before someone decided to push that idea further. Not long after Creeper appeared, another program was created to chase it down. This new program was called Reaper, and it was designed to find and delete Creeper wherever it appeared. In a strange twist, this made Reaper the world's first antivirus. Right from the start, there was already a battle forming between attack and defense. It was like watching the very first move in a game that would continue for decades, growing more complex and more dangerous with every passing year. As computers became smaller and more common, the risks grew with them. What started as harmless experimentation slowly turned into something much darker. By the time the internet began connecting millions of machines together, viruses were no longer just pranks. They became tools for chaos, theft, and control. And once that shift happened, there was no going back. Fast forward to the late 1990s, when email was becoming a normal part of everyday life. People were just beginning to trust digital communication. It felt exciting, fast, and convenient. But that trust also created a perfect opportunity for something dangerous to slip through. In 1999, a virus appeared that would change how people looked at email forever. It came disguised as a simple message from someone you knew. The subject line looked normal, even friendly, and the content felt casual enough to avoid suspicion. Inside was a file that seemed harmless, something you might open without thinking twice. But the moment it was opened, everything changed. This was the Melissa virus, and it spread faster than anything the internet had seen before. Melissa took advantage of a feature in Microsoft Word called macros. Normally, macros were meant to help users automate repetitive tasks. They were supposed to make life easier. But in the hands of a clever attacker, they became a powerful weapon. Once activated, Melissa searched through the victim's email contacts and sent itself to dozens of people, all while pretending to be a trusted message. Because the emails came from people you recognized, almost no one hesitated to open them. That trust became the virus's greatest strength. Within just a few days, Melissa had spread across the globe, overwhelming email servers and forcing major companies to shut down their systems. The damage was massive, both financially and operationally. You would not believe how quickly entire networks came to a halt because of one infected file. The creator behind Melissa was eventually caught, but the lesson remained. Digital communication could no longer be treated as completely safe. People began to realize that danger did not always look suspicious. Sometimes, it looked exactly like something you were expecting. Just when the world was still recovering from Melissa, another virus arrived that took advantage of something even more powerful than trust: emotion. In the year 2000, a new message started appearing in inboxes around the world. Its subject line was simple and irresistible. It said, "I love you." That message alone was enough to make millions of people curious. Some smiled when they saw it, others felt a spark of excitement. Almost everyone who received it wanted to know more. So they clicked. And that was all it took. The Lovebug virus was not just another piece of malicious code. It was a masterclass in psychological manipulation. Once opened, it spread rapidly, sending itself to everyone in the victim's contact list. At the same time, it began destroying files on the infected computer. Photos, music, documents, everything started disappearing or being replaced. In a matter of hours, the virus had reached millions of systems. Entire organizations were forced to shut down their networks to stop the spread. The scale of the damage was staggering, reaching billions of dollars. And the most shocking part was how simple it all was. A short message and a single click were enough to trigger global chaos. What made this incident even more surprising was the legal situation at the time. The people responsible faced little consequence because there were no clear laws covering such actions in their country. This event pushed governments around the world to rethink how they handled cybercrime. It became clear that the digital world needed rules just as much as the physical one. By the early 2000s, viruses were evolving at an incredible pace. They were becoming faster, smarter, and far more destructive. In 2003, a new threat emerged that showed just how fragile the internet really was. This was the slammer worm, and it did not rely on human mistakes like clicking a file or opening an email. Instead, slammer targeted weaknesses in servers, the powerful machines that keep the internet running. It spread automatically, scanning for vulnerable systems and infecting them within seconds. The speed was almost unbelievable. Within minutes, tens of thousands of servers were compromised, causing widespread disruption. The effects were immediate and severe. Internet traffic slowed to a crawl. Some services stopped working entirely. In certain places, critical systems failed, forcing people to rely on manual processes. It felt like the digital world had suddenly lost its balance. What made Slammer particularly frustrating was that a fix already existed. A security update had been released months earlier, but many organizations had not installed it. This oversight allowed the worm to spread unchecked. It was a harsh reminder that even the best defenses are useless if they are not used. As time went on, attackers became more strategic. They realized that causing visible damage was not always the best approach. Sometimes, the real power came from staying hidden. Around 2007, another type of virus began to rise, focusing not on destruction, but on control. One of the most infamous examples was the storm worm. At first, it appeared as just another email, often referencing news events or dramatic headlines. But its true purpose was far more unsettling. Instead of damaging the infected computer, it quietly turned it into part of a larger network. These networks, known as botnets, allowed attackers to control thousands or even millions of machines at once. Each infected computer became a silent participant in a massive digital army. Users continued their daily activities, completely unaware that their devices were being used for something else. The scale of the Storm botnet was enormous. It reached over 1 million computers, all connected and controlled remotely. This network could launch attacks on websites, send spam emails, or perform other malicious tasks on command. It was like having an invisible force operating behind the scenes, ready to act at any moment. To make things even more difficult, the virus constantly changed its structure. This made it harder for security software to detect and remove it. It was always one step ahead, adapting to avoid being caught. You could be using your computer normally, with no signs of trouble, while it was secretly working for someone else. While some viruses focused on building armies, others focused on gathering information. Around the same time, a particularly dangerous threat emerged that specialized in spying. This was MeBrute, a virus designed to dig deep into the system and remain almost impossible to detect. Mebrute used a method known as drive-by download. This meant that simply visiting a compromised website could infect your computer. There was no need to click anything or download a file. The infection happened silently in the background. Once inside, the virus targeted the master boot record, a critical part of the system that controls how the computer starts. By taking control at this level, Mebrute ensured that it would load before most security tools had a chance to act. It was like hiding in the foundation of a building where no one would think to look. After establishing itself, the virus worked with another tool that monitored user activity. Every password typed, every form filled, every sensitive detail was captured and sent to attackers. Even secure websites could be mimicked, tricking users into revealing their information without realizing it. The impact was significant, with hundreds of thousands of accounts compromised. This type of attack changed how people approached online security. It led to the development of stronger authentication methods, making it harder for attackers to succeed even if they had access to passwords. Just when it seemed like viruses could not get any more advanced, a new one appeared that took things to an entirely different level. In 2010, a piece of malware was discovered that did not just target computers, it targeted physical machines. This was Stuxnet, and it was unlike anything seen before. Stuxnet was designed with a specific purpose in mind. It searched for particular industrial systems used in critical infrastructure. When it found its target, it did not simply shut it down. Instead, it subtly altered how the machines operated, causing them to malfunction over time. One of its most striking features was its ability to hide its actions. While it was actively damaging equipment, it fed false information back to operators, making everything appear normal. This level of deception was both impressive and terrifying. The discovery of Stuxnet marked a turning point in cybersecurity. It showed that digital attacks could have real-world consequences. Machines could be damaged, operations could be disrupted, and entire facilities could be affected, all through lines of code. If that was not alarming enough, the next major threat brought the danger even closer to everyday life. In 2017, a ransomware attack spread across the globe, affecting hundreds of thousands of computers. This was WannaCry, and it introduced many people to a new kind of digital fear. When a system was infected, files were locked and made inaccessible. A message appeared demanding payment in exchange for restoring access. This created a sense of urgency and panic, especially for organizations that relied on their data to function. Hospitals, businesses, and public services were all affected. In some cases, critical operations had to be halted because systems were no longer available. The attack spread rapidly, exploiting weaknesses in outdated software. What makes this story even more surprising is how it was eventually slowed down. A young security researcher discovered a hidden feature in the virus that could stop its spread. By activating this feature, he managed to limit the damage, preventing an even larger disaster. This incident highlighted the importance of staying updated and prepared. It also showed how a single individual could make a difference in the face of a global threat. Each virus brought something new, teaching lessons that shape the way we use and protect our devices today. And the truth is, this story is far from over. New threats continue to emerge, each more sophisticated than the last. The digital world keeps growing, and with it, the potential for both innovation and danger. So the next time you open an email, click a link, or connect to a network, remember, there is an invisible world operating behind the screen. It can be helpful, powerful, and incredibly dangerous at the same time. If you found this video interesting and you want more stories like this, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss what comes next.